There is a weight that most people carry all day long without even realizing it. It is not the weight of work. It is not the weight of bills. It is not the weight of problems that appear and disappear throughout the week. It is the weight of believing you should be somewhere else. Further ahead, more accomplished, more stable, happier, more secure, further from the point where you are right now. This weight has a name. It is called comparison with an imaginary version of yourself, and it is silent. It does not scream, it whispers. It whispers when you see someone's achievement on social media and feel that strange sting in your chest that you try to ignore, but can't. It whispers when you lie down at night and think, another day, and I am still here. It whispers when you look at where you are and compare it to where you thought you'd be at this stage of life, when you do the math and the result doesn't match what you expected of yourself. And the cruelest part of this weight is that it doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. It is built by your own mind, brick by brick, every time you use the present as a yardstick for failure instead of using it as a starting point. But that whisper is wrong. The place where you are now, with all its imperfections, with everything that hasn't happened yet, with everything that seems incomplete, with all the questions that still have no answers, is exactly the right place. Not because you should settle, not because ambition is wrong, not because growth doesn't matter, but because the present moment is not an obstacle to your life. It is the portal to it. And as long as you spend your time looking at it as a problem to be overcome, you miss exactly what is most valuable about it. Let's understand where this pattern comes from. Because it didn't emerge out of nowhere. From a very early age, you were trained to live in the future. The entire system was built that way. In school, the question wasn't who you are today, but what you are going to be when you grow up. At home, praise wasn't for what you were experiencing, but for what you were achieving. In society, a person's value is constantly measured by what they produced, what they conquered, how much they advanced towards some imaginary finish line. And there is nothing wrong with having direction, with wanting to grow, with building something. The problem is when direction becomes an escape. When the future stops being a compass and becomes a sentence. When you stop living today because you are obsessed with getting to tomorrow. When every present moment becomes merely a means to an end that is always a little further ahead. Psychology has a name for this. It is called chronic future orientation. It is the mental state where a person can only feel value in the present if it is a stepping stone to something greater. If the current moment isn't visibly contributing to some future goal, it feels like a waste. It feels like lost time. It feels like a delay. And so you spend your days asking questions that drain your energy without giving you any useful answers. Why haven't I achieved this yet? Why aren't things moving faster? What is wrong with me? Why does it seem easier for others? Why am I still here? These questions have something in common. They stem from a premise that was never questioned, the premise that you are late. But late compared to what? To a schedule you invented yourself based on other people's expectations, to a timeline that society drew for you without asking if that's what your soul wanted, to a version of success defined by someone who isn't you, who hasn't lived what you've lived, who doesn't carry what you carry. This schedule is not real. It never was. It is a construction. A collective narrative passed down from generation to generation as if it were absolute truth. At 20, you should be here. At 30, there. At 40, you should have achieved this. And anyone who doesn't follow this imaginary script is left with a permanent feeling of being out of rhythm, of missing something, of being late in a race that no one stopped to ask if they wanted to run. There is no delay on the path of consciousness. There is timing. There is maturation. There is the exact amount of time each thing needs to become real, solid, and true. A fruit plucked before its time is not late. It simply isn't ready yet. And forcing maturation doesn't make it sweeter. It only leaves it hollow inside, beautiful on the outside, but without substance within. This is exactly what happens when you force a version of yourself before it is ready to exist. You are not late, you are maturing. And there is a huge difference between those two things. Now, I want you to pay attention to something happening at this very moment. You don't need to do anything differently, just observe. Where are your thoughts right now? If you are like most people, they are somewhere between the past and the future. Reviewing a conversation from yesterday, anticipating a situation for tomorrow, calculating, worrying, planning, regretting, projecting. And the present is empty of you. You are here physically, but mentally you are somewhere else, always somewhere else. In the past that is already ended, or in the future that has not yet arrived. And the only place where your life actually happens is left without your presence, without your weight, without your attention. This is not weakness. It is conditioning. The human mind was developed over thousands of years to do exactly this. Anticipate threats, learn from past experiences, plan for survival. It is an extraordinary mechanism that has kept us alive as a species for millennia. The problem is that this mechanism doesn't know when to turn off. It was built for a world where threats were physical and immediate, a predator, a storm, a food shortage, situations that required either immediate action or rapid learning from the past. But the world you live in today has threats of another kind, abstract threats, future ones, uncertain ones, and the mind treats these abstract threats with the same urgency it would treat a real predator. It stays on constant alert, in permanent analysis mode, in a state of preparation for a danger that never arrives in a way it can solve once and for all. And so, you spend your whole life running from a past that is over and trying to control a future that doesn't yet exist. And the only place where you have real power, the now, is abandoned. The present moment is not just an instant in time. It is the only place where you have real power. Think about this carefully. You cannot change the past in the past. You can only transform it now, through how you interpret it, what you choose to carry or let go of, and the meaning you decide to give it. You cannot build the future in the future. You can only build it now, through the choices, thoughts, actions, and the quality of presence you bring to each moment. Everything you will become starts here, not further down the road when conditions are perfect, not when you finally have what you're waiting for. Here, now, with what you have. The present is not a waiting room. It is the only place where transformation is possible. And when you begin to understand this, not as an intellectual concept, but as a living experience, something starts to change in the quality of your daily life. Anxiety loses its grip. It doesn't disappear overnight. That's not how it works. But it loses power. Because anxiety needs the future to exist. It feeds on the what if, on the maybe, on the not yet. And when you are truly present, the what if has no room to grow because you are too busy living what is real. Write in the comments now, I am exactly where I need to be, and from here, I build what comes next. It is not conformism. It is the most powerful declaration there is. It is you telling your own mind that the starting point is now, not when conditions are perfect. It is you breaking the cycle of waiting and reclaiming the only moment in which you actually exist. If the present moment is so powerful, why is it so hard to be in it? Why is it that even when a person understands this intellectually, the mind keeps running away? Why is it so difficult just to be here? There is a reason few speak of with enough honesty. Sometimes the present hurts. Being truly present means feeling what you are feeling now, not what you want to feel, not what you think you should feel, what is actually happening inside you at this moment. And what is happening inside you now isn't always pleasant. It might be loneliness. That specific loneliness that appears even when you are surrounded by people, the feeling that no one really knows the true you. It might be uncertainty, that uncomfortable state of not knowing what comes next and being unable to control it. It might be that feeling that's hard to name, a kind of void that appears in moments of silence, when you stop moving and have nothing left to distract your attention. And then the mind offers a generous way out. It takes you to the past, to remember when things were better, when you felt more alive, more sure of yourself, more connected. Or it takes you to the future, to imagine when things will improve, when you will finally have what you need to feel whole. Anywhere but here. Anywhere but now. Anywhere but this specific discomfort waiting for attention. And this pattern of escape repeats so many times it becomes automatic. You don't even notice you're doing it anymore. The mind learned that the present can be painful and developed an extraordinary ability to always be somewhere else. But here is the paradox that changes everything. It is exactly in the place you avoid that you find what you need most. The void you feel when you stop isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that you've spent so much time in motion, in production, in pursuit, that you've forgotten how to simply be. You've forgotten how to be with yourself without a task, without a goal, without needing to get somewhere. Restlessness is not your enemy. It is an invitation to look more honestly at what is happening inside you, at what you have been avoiding feeling, at what needs your attention, not from your future self, but now, in this moment. Real personal development is not about accumulating techniques, concepts, and tools to distract yourself from your own life. It is not about building such a busy version of yourself that there is never room to feel what you are feeling. It is having the courage to be present in your own life, even when it is uncomfortable. Especially when it is uncomfortable. Because information is found in the discomfort, direction is found in the resistance. What needs attention most is found in what you avoid most. Let's talk about something physics teaches us that applies directly to the human experience. In quantum mechanics, there is a concept called wave function collapse. A subatomic particle exists in multiple possible states simultaneously, in a state of superposition, until the moment it is observed. It is the act of observation that collapses all possibilities into one specific, concrete reality. Translating this to your life in a way that makes practical sense. As long as you live dispersed between past and future, as long as your attention is always divided between what was and what could be, you exist in multiple states of possibility without any of them becoming fully real. It is like having 1,000 doors open in front of you and not fully entering any of them. You exist in potential, but not in reality. The moment you become fully present, the moment you collapse all your attention, all your consciousness, all your energy into the here and now, is the moment possibilities begin to become concrete reality. It is the moment you stop existing in potential and start existing for real. The present is that portal. It isn't just a pretty metaphor. It is a functional description of how human consciousness operates when it is aligned with the moment that actually exists. When you are present, you notice things that previously went completely unseen. The opportunity that was there all along, but you didn't see because your attention was elsewhere. The intuition trying to speak, but you can't hear because the mind is too noisy with worries about the future and regrets about the past. The genuine connection with another person that could change something important in your life, but goes unnoticed because you are physically present and mentally absent. The present is not just a state of peace. It is a state of clarity, of receptivity, of real power. There is a simple practice that requires nothing special from you. It doesn't require hours of meditation. It doesn't require a spiritual retreat. It doesn't require you to radically transform your routine. It can be done anywhere, at any time, including right now, while you are here. It consists of 3 questions, simple in form, profound in effect. First, what is happening inside me right now? Not what should be happening, not what you want to happen, not what would be more convenient to feel at this moment. What is actually happening? What emotion is present? What sensation do you notice in your body? What thought is spinning relentlessly? Just observing is enough. You don't need to solve anything. You don't need to change anything immediately. You just need to see what is there. Second, what does this moment have to offer me? Every situation carries something. Every moment, even the difficult ones, especially the difficult ones, has something that can only be received if you are present enough to notice. A clarity, a lesson, a strength that only develops when you stop running and decide to face what is there. Information about yourself that wouldn't be available at any other time. Third, what is the truest action I can take right now? Not the perfect action, not the action that will solve everything at once, the truest action. The one aligned with who you really are, with what really matters to you, with who you are genuinely becoming. One small action, taken with total presence and total integrity, is worth more than 1,000 big actions taken on autopilot, out of obligation, fear, or to meet someone else's expectations. These 3 questions are a way back to yourself. Use them whenever you notice you are running from the present. Whenever the mind starts traveling to the past or the future in a way that drains rather than builds. And now I want to return to something I mentioned at the beginning, because it deserves to be seen from a different perspective, that weight of believing you should be somewhere else. I want to invite you to look at your story from an angle you perhaps haven't fully considered yet. Every experience you have lived up to this point was necessary, not in the sense that it was fair or easy, or that you deserved every hard thing you went through, but necessary in the sense that each of those experiences molded something specific in you that couldn't have been molded any other way. The mistake you can't forgive yourself for. The choice you made that changed the course of something important. The loss that left a mark you still feel when you touch that place. The time you think you wasted. The path you took that seemed wrong. All of it was part of a construction. A construction you can't fully see when you're in the middle of it, but which begins to make sense when you step back far enough to see the whole picture. The person you are today, with all your complexity, with all your contradictions, with all the depth you carry, with all the wisdom acquired not in classrooms, but in real moments of life, that person only exists because you lived exactly what you lived, the way you lived it, in the time it took. A different version of the path would have created a different version of you, not necessarily better. Different. And the version that exists now, the one here reading or listening to this, has something specific to offer the world that no other version could offer. It has a unique perspective, a capacity for empathy that only comes from having gone through what you've gone through. A strength that only exists because it was tested, a clarity that only emerges after much confusion. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be. Not as a consolation, not as a pretty phrase to make you feel better for a moment and then forget, but as a functional truth. As a precise description of how the human journey actually operates when you stop evaluating it by the wrong criteria. The next chapter of your life doesn't start when you get somewhere. It doesn't start when you finally have what you're waiting for. It doesn't start when external conditions are right. It starts now, in this moment, with the consciousness you brought here today, with the clarity you have now, imperfect but real, with the version of you that exists in this instant, incomplete but alive, in motion, under construction. The portal isn't in the future waiting for you. It is here, and you are already inside it. The only thing left is to perceive this with enough clarity to stop looking for the entrance to a place where you already are.